We are on the road for Thanksgiving. I'm sorry I don't have my usual microphone. I brought it and forgot a little piece, so you're going to get the crappy audio for this one. But I'm thankful for y'all, and I wanted to make sure that we could go ahead, update the rankings with the games today. And there were a lot of them, and I'm going to be honest with you. I did not sleep much last night. I am very, very tired, and my fantasy team just got its cheeks absolutely clapped, so I may not be in the absolute bestest of moods here. But let's go ahead and let's go game by game. I'm on the laptop, so you're going to have to cut me some slack if this doesn't look as good as usual. But anyway, with the Green Bay Packers, Love has 4 passing touchdowns. In terms of how we view this offense any differently going into the future, I don't really think we need to. I mean, I previously had Jordan Love in the same tier with Jared Goff, with Brock Purdy, with Trevor Lawrence, with Sam Darnold. And honestly, I think we are going to go ahead and we are going to just keep Jordan Love in this range. Well, the 4 passing touchdowns are great. Super fun game on Thanksgiving, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, like, I don't necessarily think that we need to be changing our mind on Jordan Love because the passing volume's still not exactly there. You had 18 total completions. Now, moving over to the running backs, I had Josh Jacobs in fantasy. Super frustrating. Of course, I'm here with the in-laws. I am absolutely sweating Josh Jacobs at the goal line. They have no idea how much that freaking means to me for just Josh Jacobs to get in there and score that freaking touchdown that he gets stuffed on. And with Jacobs, it seemed like they had Emmanuel Wilson out there way more than, the box score indicates. And of course, I'm sitting there stuffing my face, right? So maybe we need to look at the actual underlying snap data, but I felt like I was sitting here crying that Josh Jacobs was off the field on a lot of third downs. But it's not like Emmanuel Wilson had a ton of touches here. Emmanuel Wilson had a total of 4. Josh Jacobs does get 18 opportunities. He did leave the field just for a bit where they had to look at his ankle for a second. Stressed me out a ton. But in terms of my rest of season ranks, I don't think I'm moving Jacobs. Like, where did we have Jacobs previously? I had Jacobs in in the B tier. I had him at running back 7. And honestly, I think I'm going to go ahead and leave Josh Jacobs there. Going over to the receivers, Dontavian Wicks scores multiple touchdowns. Maybe somebody's dumb enough to go pick up Dontavian Wicks. Maybe if they lost the Amon-Ra St. round. Don't pick him up. Literally is meaningless, especially with Romeo Doubs coming back in. The big winner of this game, not Romeo Doubs coming back in, with Jaden Reed coming back in. But the big winner of this game is actually going to be Christian Watson. Watson had 10 targets. Watson had 80 receiving yards and the receiving touchdown. Now, this is a string of games that you've had from Christian Watson where he has very much looked like a viable wide receiver. The only hesitation that I'm going to have with like jacking up Christian Watson in our rest of season ranks and saying that all of a sudden he's like a must start name is just the fact that you do have Jaden Reed coming back in soon. So I don't want to overreact here, but let me see. Okay, my laptop doesn't want to cooperate with Control F. Let me see where we had him previously. Are you kidding me? He was down here at 48. There's no way. We had him ahead of Romeo Doubs in our weekly rankings this week. Like, I would rather have Christian Watson over Jordan Addison. I'd rather have him over Keenan Allen. Like, what's going to stop me, I'd rather have him over Alec Pierce. It's going to stop me from moving him ahead of like Terry McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, Quentin Johnston. Again, is just the fact that you do have Jaden Reed coming back into this offense soon. So Jaden Reed coming back in, I think Christian Watson maybe does regress just a bit. But nonetheless, he does look like in good matchups. You can go ahead and play him. But we'd have to be honest, it's not like Jordan Love's going to have 4 passing touchdowns every game. And then also I do want to point out, of course, that we are not going to have any tight end irrelevance in Green Bay. Now, going over to the Detroit Lions, Jared Goff honestly may fall down my rankings because obviously fine game from Jared Goff. Not taking any digs at Goff. He had 256 passing yards, multiple passing touchdowns, and he actually ran the ball for 24 rushing yards. So much better rushing day for Goff than you typically would expect. But the hesitation I'm going to have with Goff now is you have no Amon-Ra St. Brown, you have no Sam Laporta. So all of a sudden, the weapons here definitely look like they are going to be worse. And we know at the end of the day with Jared Goff, you're not going to have consistent rushing upside. So I would go ahead and I would say that if we're like breaking ties, I would probably move Jared Goff below like Brock Purdy and Jordan Love. I don't know if I want to start this dude. with no Amon-Ra St. Brown, with no Sam Laporta. Going over to running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs, 20 carries. And at the same time, Jahmyr Gibbs does go through. He gets involved as a receiver. Is it to the same extent that we had last week? No, but he had 3 receptions, 18 receiving yards, so 23 total opportunities. Tough matchup. He played quite well in it. He was an S-tier running back for us behind JT and Jahmyr Gibbs. And McCaffrey coming into this. He's going to remain there, especially because now that you have no Amon-Ra St. Brown, all of a sudden, this offense is really going to have to lean on Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. We don't have to really move Montgomery in our rankings. Again, Montgomery, desperation, flex play, but mainly he is an elite handcuff if Gibbs were to go down. But Amon-Ra St. Brown gets injured, gets ruled out pretty much immediately. The quote from Dan Campbell after the game, if I was on my regular computer, I'd pull this up, but I'm sorry, we got a little rinky-dink setup here. I read it before, just make sure I knew what to say. The quote from Dan Campbell says, he hopefully won't be out too long. If we're lucky, only a week or 2. Well, brother, I got news for you. It's week 13. If we're lucky and he's out 2 weeks, he misses weeks 14, the last week of the regular season for the fantasy year, and week 15, the first week of the playoffs. What are these playoff teams supposed to do with no Amon-Ra St. Brown? So, all of a sudden, Amon-Ra St. Brown looks like he is really only viable for teams maybe with a bye. Like, I have a bye on my own team, even if it looks like I'm going to lose this week. Mahomes and Rashee Rice, they took a big dump on me, right? So I may lose, but I'm still going to have a bye in my league. So before the trade deadline's passed, I may be hitting up the owner of my league going like, hey, can I get Amon-Ra St. Brown for 10 cents on the dollar? Because the owner of my league that has Amon-Ra St. Brown, he needs to win games right now. And if you have St. Brown and your trade deadline has not passed, if you can go and trade him for let's update him in my rankings. It's very difficult to rank a player like Amon-Ra St. Brown the rest of season on the site. Because again, if you need a win next week to get into the playoffs, well, brother, I'm sorry, you're not going to have St. Brown. And if you don't have a bye week for the playoffs, you may not have him for round 1 either. So, I'd rather have Igbuka. I'd rather have Waddle. Even for me, I have a bye, and if the Amon-Ra St. Brown owner offered me Amon-Ra for Waddle, I would say no. If he offered me Amon-Ra for DK Metcalf, right? I'd rather have J-Mo than Amon-Ra St. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown moves to being like a high-end wide receiver 3 because you may not see him again this fantasy season. As brutal as it sounds. And I drafted a ton of him in Underdog Best Ball draft, so I absolutely hate this. And I freaking hate this. Because y'all know also, a player that I'm not big on, a player that I've faded this year, is Jameson Williams. And now the people that love Jameson Williams are getting the luckiest run out possible. I'm sorry, but if you went all in on drafting J-Mo this year, honestly, maybe not a great call. But when Sam Laporta's done, when Amon-Ra St. Brown's done, then all of a sudden, Jameson Williams is going to get flooded. It's a really good offense, and this is the last dude in it. So, Jameson Williams is a must-start wide receiver at this point. Jameson Williams versus Waddle, very close. I think I'm going to move Jameson Williams up to wide receiver 15. And again, this is with me operating under the assumption that Amon-Ra St. Brown's out at least 2 weeks. Keep in mind, we only have 1 more week until the fantasy playoffs. So J-Mo is going to be right here at wide receiver 15 in my rankings this next week. Probably be that for week 15 as well. I'm not even a big Jameson Williams guy. It's just if you have no St. Brown and if you have no Sam Laporta, they're going to have to get the ball to somebody. And then I don't care about any of the tight ends here in Detroit, and I don't care about Isaac Tesla or any of these other players. Now, let's move over to what we have with the Chiefs. And the Chiefs should be simple, I believe, right? I will say Patrick Mahomes had a few plays in this game where it's just oh, yeah, this is the best quarterback on the planet. But the left tackle for the Chiefs just went down. So the left tackle for the Chiefs going down, you would assume this lowers expectations for the overall offense, very similar to what we said with the Chargers when they had their offensive line injuries. Previously, coming into this game, I had Patrick Mahomes in the S tier alongside Josh Allen. He was QB2. And honestly, I'm probably going to go ahead and keep him there. Going over to running back, you have Isaiah Pacheco back, but Pacheco is really second fiddle to Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt's definitely the goal line back. The issue with Kareem Hunt is you have no big play upside, while at the same time, obviously, the receiving role isn't exactly there. So Kareem Hunt, committee running back with not a lot of juice. The left tackle just went down, so this offensive line got worse. But honestly, like if I was looking at Kareem Hunt versus Emmanuel Wilson, I'd rather have Kareem Hunt at this point. If I was looking at Kareem Hunt versus I think Kareem Hunt's kind of in this list of handcuffs. Like Kamani Vidal, actually I'd probably rather have Kareem Hunt over Kamani Vidal now that you have Martin Hampton officially back. Devin Neal with the Kamara injury. I'd probably rather have Devin Neal. Sean Tucker, till we actually see Bucky Irving on the field. Honestly, F it. I'd rather have Kareem Hunt over Sean Tucker. But I think Kareem Hunt's like a low-end RB3. You can start him in deep formats, but if you're starting like a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, and you only have 10 teams in your league, no way in hell you're ever excited about starting Kareem Hunt. Now, going over to what we have with the receivers. Rashee Rice was elite before this, and Rashee Rice is elite after this. It was a perfect matchup for him. He went to SMU in his hometown. I had Rashee Rice as our wide receiver 4 in our rest of season ranks. Nothing changes. He just stomped on me. It was brutal. I don't like it one bit. He is averaging more points per game than Puka Nacua and Jamar Chase at this point. So honestly, if we're going to be serious here, Rashee Rice may belong inside the S tier. With the left tackle injury, maybe you expect it to get scaled back just a bit. But regardless, Rashee Rice is for sure my wide receiver 4 rest of season. The only conversation that you would have is he an S tier player or an A tier option? Xavier Worthy has a big play that Mahomes makes for him. Still not startable. Travis Kelce still looks like a borderline top 5 tight end. Coming into this, I had him as the tight end 5 in my rest of season ranks. And honestly, I think we keep him there, but we're just going to keep him there. I don't think anything changes with the Chiefs offense. I think maybe I have to move Kareem Hunt up a little bit because I did expect Isaiah Pacheco to have a little bit more usage his first week back in here. But let me go ahead and move over to our next team. And let me know in the chat, for the love of God, please tell me that the Wi-Fi is good here. Because if not, I don't know what to tell you. But hopefully the Wi-Fi is decent, because this is where I'll be over the next few days streaming. And let me know how the audio is too. Okay. People are saying we're laggy, but it is what it is. Now, with the Dallas Cowboys, 300 passing yards for Dak Prescott, multiple passing touchdowns, and a tough matchup against Kansas City Chiefs. Incredible. Going through and looking at where he was before this game in our rankings versus where he is after this game in our rankings. He was QB6. The only quarterbacks we had ahead of him were Allen, Mahomes, May, Hurts, Lamar. We'll get to Lamar in a second, but at this point, no way in hell I can make an argument of having Lamar over Dak. So I think Dak, top 5 quarterback. The weapons are just so damn good. Here, Malik Davis gets the big rushing touchdown. I don't think it takes anything away from Javonte going into the future. Javonte, very clearly the guy that you would want. He has 3 receptions, 17 carries, 20 total opportunities, ton of fantasy points, and a tough matchup. Javonte was our running back 8 in our rest of season rankings. Coming into this, he's going to remain there. He's a top 10 running back. And then we have the CeeDee Lamb bounce back. Over 100 receiving yards, receiving touchdown. Him and Pickens are just so damn good together. Pickens actually has 13 targets here. So Pickens leads his team in targets. I'm not going to sit here and waste a ton of time trying to figure out, do you want Pickens? Do you want Lamb? Do you want Pickens? Do you want Lamb? It's up to you. Pickens is averaging 19.8 fantasy points per game this year. Lamb's at 16. Obviously, this is a massive Lamb game. It's crazy that both these wide receivers are top 6 wide receivers in our rest of season ranks. But this Dallas Cowboys defense is garbage. You're going to have to keep throwing the ball. Jake Ferg, 6 targets, does not a lot with him. He almost had the touchdown, which honestly I was kind of rooting for him to have that TD. But Jake Ferg was our tight end 6 coming into this, and he's going to remain our tight end 6 after this. So with Dallas, I honestly don't even know if anything changes. Probably nothing at all. Now, who's our next team we got to talk about? I think that's it for that game. So I think we can move on to the Bengals and Ravens game. And I was outside for a bit, so I did not see this entire game. I saw at the beginning when Burrow was struggling, Ravens looked good, and then I came back in. It's like, oh, nope, we've had a Lamar blow up. Had to catch up on Twitter, and then I was like, oh, okay, well, this is a tough scene for Lamar, but we'll get to him right after the Bengals. Quarterback Joe Burrow looks great. This is a game with no T. Higgins. Joe Burrow gets back to doing Joe Burrow things, even when the Baltimore Ravens aren't competitive enough to make Cincinnati throw the ball at the end of the game. Burrow still has 46 pass attempts. This dude is going to be dropping back 50 times a game. This is what he's done his entire NFL career. This defense is still garbage. So Burrow is right back to being an elite quarterback, especially once you end up getting T. Higgins back in. And at this point, you would have to be a crazy person to prefer Lamar over Burrow rest of season. Like, we're going to move Burrow up to our quarterback 6. We're going to be really excited when Higgins comes back into this offense. Now, Samaje Perine does come back this week and significantly eat into the usage of Chase Brown. Now, with that being said, Samaje Perine does have the fumble at the end of the game. You'd assume maybe they go back and they give Chase Brown the same usage that he... Okay, I'm sorry. I shouldn't do this to myself. Why do I even read the chat? And to just, for whatever reason, I decided to read the chat and just let myself get triggered. How is the defense garbage? Did you watch the game? Brother, have you watched the last 2 years of the Cincinnati Bengals? We have the chat right now trying to tell me the Cincinnati Bengals have a good defense. You have the memory of a goldfish. A goldfish has better memory than you. At least a goldfish knows when it's going to get fed. You have the memory of a worm, an earthworm, digging around in the soil. This Bengals defense is garbage. Burrow's going to be throwing the ball a ton. Yeah, they look good against Lamar. It's one game. Okay. God, y'all know how to rage bait me. Okay. Running back usage. Perine comes in, has a roll, fumbles at the end of the game. Perine's probably going to be here to stay. So, going over and looking at what we have with Chase Brown in our rest of season ranks. He was running back 14. He stays there. He said, like, I saw 6 straight games with over 100 total yards. And the receiving usage looks great, right? So they're going to let him go out there and have 7 targets. It just gives you such a floor in this offense. And Burrow's going to have 50 dropbacks a game. Jamar, S-tier wide receiver, nothing to discuss. Yoshi Vosh gets a touchdown. Tinsley has 9 targets for 22 receiving yards, which is funny. I know a lot of DFS people are talking about Tinsley coming into this game. But T. Higgins is going to come back this next week, and T. Higgins is just going to make all these other secondary options, including the tight ends, literally meaningless. Now, this is the biggest thing that changes today, and this is the biggest thing that I just have to take a massive, massive L on. And I was kind of telling the in-laws this too earlier. I was like, I am such an idiot. I am the dumbest person on this planet. Because every single week, I turn on this camera, and I come out here and I say, yeah, Lamar looks horrible. Yeah, this Baltimore Ravens offense does not look good. But look at the projections. Look at sportsbooks projecting out the Baltimore Ravens to score the most points in the NFL this week against the Cincinnati Bengals. And I go, oh, okay, I guess that means Lamar Jackson's still a top 5 quarterback, and put him in your lineup. And every single week, without fail, he gets worse. Worse than the previous week. I don't know how it's happening. 32 pass attempts, 246 passing yards, no passing touchdowns, and an interception. Now, turnover at the end of the game, it was on Flowers, not on Lamar, which is very funny because Bush from Fantasy Stock Exchange in our league had the Lamar and Flowers stack. Obviously, he's losing his mind throughout the entire game. And what the hell where do I put Lamar in my, like, if I had Lamar in my league, how could I start him? He's not even running the ball like we're used to. Since coming back from this hamstring, the mobility hasn't been there. And I was so dumb that the literal first week back, I think it was against the Miami Dolphins, I was like, yeah, I know he didn't have a lot of rushing yards in the game, but, oh, if you watch the game, you could see him moving in the pocket. He looks good in the pocket. I have no idea how I came to that conclusion. No idea why I thought that at the time. The dude hasn't run the ball since coming back from the hamstring. He's not running it. And here's the thing with Lamar, and I know people are going to hate me for this. And God, you can tell I'm tired, and you can tell my team just got the crap beat out of it today. So I'm sorry for being a little sad boy. I think Lamar is an elite passer when defenses have to respect the fact that he can run and he can break any play with his legs. But if that weapon is gone with his legs and defenses no longer have to respect that, he's not Matthew Stafford as a passer. And this offense is paying the price. Wherever I rank him, it feels like it's going to be wrong. I would start Stafford over him. Daniel Jones and Baker are both injured. We got to move them down. Would I rather Caleb or Lamar at this point? Lamar's averaging 17.1 points per game, getting worse every week. Caleb's at 19.5. Horrible matchup against the Eagles this week. I would rather have Jackson Dart than Lamar. Is that crazy to say? Is this me having a memory of a goldfish? I think Lamar's a low-end QB1 rest of season. Hell, Jaden Daniels may come back this next week. They're telling us Jaden Daniels may come back in week 14. Would you rather have Lamar Jackson or Jaden Daniels rest of season? I would love to hear what the chat has to say about this. Let me pull this up. Would you rather have Lamar or Jaden Daniels rest of season if Daniels comes back next week? Yeah, I saw the likely touchdown miss. I didn't see the Flowers one, to be honest. Like I said, this game I did step outside to hang out with the in-laws for a bit. But I did see the Isaiah Likely goal line, lateral, blah, 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 a couple inches away from the touchdown. I didn't see the Flowers one. I don't know about this. I am probably going to put Daniels and Lamar back-to-back with the reports that Daniels could come back this week. But long story short, Lamar's no longer a set-it-and-forget-it must-start quarterback. Lamar's very much, you can, let's see what's the upcoming week for Lamar. Let me see this real quick. Obviously, you can go and look at your league on flockfantasy.com, power rankings, blah, 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 link your team for free. But let's go. And you can also pull up player cards of any players. Usually they look better than this, but I'm just so zoomed in for the stream. Lamar the past 3 weeks has scored 4.7, 7.2, and 6.5 fantasy points. He gets Pittsburgh next week, then Cincinnati, then New England and Green Bay. Yeah, look at this game log. This is god-awful. Since coming back from his injury, he hasn't had more than 36 rushing yards. He hasn't had more than 36 rushing yards since literally week 3 or 4, I apologize. No way I can justify having Lamar over Daniels if Daniels comes back next week. And I would say, like, oh, the Cincinnati matchup's great that he has in 2 weeks, but what the hell did he just do against Cincinnati this week? He didn't score 10 fantasy points. Going over, and I may wake up tomorrow and I may realize I'm making a massive mistake with this ranking. Going over and looking at the running back usage, Derrick Henry, 44-yard receiving reception. We actually did see that one live. And yeah, I want to know, when's the last time Derrick Henry had 44 receiving yards in a game? I think Thomas has Derrick Henry. Last time Derrick Henry had 44 receiving yards in a game. The high for this season. It is the high for last season. Last time Derrick Henry had 44 receiving yards in a game was week 1, 2023. So it's been what, like almost 50 games since Derrick Henry had this type of receiving output. Absolutely crazy. Derrick Henry here is a low-end RB1. I think he's going to remain there. Like, it is impressive, the fact that he is giving you that decent little floor even in these games in which Lamar's absolutely bombing. Isaiah Likely, big game, almost had the receiving touchdown. Likely hasn't been viable all year. The only thing that Isaiah Likely is notable for is if he's all of a sudden drawing targets again, they have 2 tight end sets. Zay Flowers is even worse. And this is another thing that I just have to give a massive apology and take a massive, massive L for. Like, I came through and I repeatedly said, Zay Flowers is still a must-start name. You still got to get Flowers in. This offense is going to bounce back, and it's just not happening. So, I got to take a massive L on Flowers. Like, we can go ahead and pull this up again. Bush has Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers hasn't scored a touchdown since week 1. Zay Flowers hasn't had 15 fantasy points since week 1. We could say the floor had been there since Lamar came back from his injury at least 10 points in every game. But now the floor just fell out where he scored half a point in this. Then obviously has the fumble at the very end of the game. But Zay Flowers isn't startable until we see otherwise. I'd rather have Sutton. I'd rather have Troy Franklin. I'd rather have Khalil Shakir. I'd rather have Garrett Wilson on the off chance he comes back. Move Zay Flowers down to being like a low-end wide receiver 3, high-end wide receiver 4. I still want to give Lamar the benefit of the doubt because, again, he has been an elite quarterback for 5 years now. He just doesn't look healthy. And it's super frustrating. But, again, I need to apologize for a couple things. 1, the bad camera. I'm on a laptop. 2, the bad microphone. I brought my real one, but I forgot one little piece of it. And, of course, you forget one little piece, it doesn't work. 3, for being a little pissy boy. Had to wake up super early, get on a flight, and I had to play against Rashee Rice, Patrick Mahomes, Jamar Chase, Javonte Williams today, and I freaking started Jake Bates and Josh Jacobs. So it looks like I've lost my fantasy football matchup, and it's freaking Thursday. But I will bounce back. We're still going to be a playoff team, still going to have a bye week, still top 2 in the league. So it's going to be okay at the end of the day. My team just has to show up for the playoffs. And y'all know that losing to Avery is quite possibly the worst thing that could happen to me. But I really appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. I am very much thankful for all of y'all spending this late Thursday night. It's almost 1 a.m. East Coast here with me. And yeah, thank you for everything. I truly am super thankful for the fact that y'all are willing to come hang out with me in a live stream, no matter where we're at, no matter what's going on. And yeah, not a lot of people could say that. And I really, really, really want to give you all a massive thank you for everything. And I'm sorry again for being pissy in this live stream. Y'all know I don't like losing, but much love. And I will live stream tomorrow answering fantasy football questions. It'll be with this crappy setup. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you. But much love, and I'll see you tomorrow.